Episode 3. Second Chances. Hello, and welcome back to Tales Untold. Today we're diving into a touching story called The Road to Second Chances. It's a story about coming home, rebuilding relationships, and finding forgiveness. As we listen, you'll also learn some useful expressions to improve your English vocabulary. Ready? Let's jump in. Chapter 1. The Weight of a Decision. Emma Carter sat in her car, gripping the steering wheel as rain drummed on the windshield. She stared at the dimly lit diner across the street, a place she hadn't set foot in for nearly a decade. Her heart raced as memories of her small hometown flooded her mind, the streets she used to bike down, the faces she once knew, and the mistakes she wished she could erase. Today wasn't just a visit, it was a confrontation with her past. Emma's decision to leave years ago had been abrupt, and now, returning, felt like reopening a wound she wasn't sure had healed. The bell above the diner's door jingled as Emma stepped inside. The warmth of the place hit her immediately, along with the smell of fresh coffee and sizzling bacon. Behind the counter stood Betty, the diner's owner, and a figure who had always been a surrogate mother to Emma. Betty's eyes widened in recognition, her expression shifting from shock to a cautious smile. "Emma Carter? Well, I'll be," she said, wiping her hands on her apron. "It's been a long time." Emma offered a nervous smile, unsure if the welcome she'd received from others would be as kind. Chapter 2. Ghosts of Yesterday. Emma slid into a booth at the back of the diner, her favorite spot as a teenager. The familiar hum of chatter filled the air, but she couldn't help noticing a few sideways glances from the other patrons. Small towns had long memories, and Emma's abrupt departure, leaving behind a tangle of unfinished relationships, had been a topic of gossip for years. Her eyes fell on the menu, though she already knew what she'd order: Betty's signature blueberry pancakes. As Betty approached, coffee pot in hand, Emma steeled herself for the inevitable questions. The door jingled again, and in walked Jake Miller, his presence commanding attention. Emma's breath caught. Jake had been her high school sweetheart, the boy she'd planned a future with until her sudden departure shattered everything. He looked older now, more rugged, with a quiet confidence that hadn't been there before. Their eyes met, and Jake froze mid-step. Emma felt her cheeks flush as he approached her booth, a mix of curiosity and guardedness in his gaze. "Emma," he said, his voice steady but laced with emotion. "Didn't think I'd see you here." Emma and Jake sat across from each other, the tension palpable. They spoke cautiously at first, exchanging polite questions about their lives since high school. Emma explained her reasons for leaving, the pressure of small-town expectations, and her desire to chase dreams she hadn't yet defined. Jake listened quietly, his expression unreadable. When she asked about him, Jake shared stories of staying behind, taking over his father's hardware store, and the ways the town had both changed and stayed the same. "It's not an easy place to leave or come back to," he admitted, his tone softening. That night, Emma lay in the small motel room she'd booked, staring at the ceiling. Her conversation with Jake had stirred feelings she thought she'd buried. Guilt over how she'd left, leaving no explanation beyond a note, weighed heavily on her. She thought of the friends she'd lost touch with, the opportunities she'd let slip away, and the life she might have had if she'd stayed. Yet returning wasn't about rekindling old flames or living in the past. It was about finding closure and perhaps forgiveness. Over the next few days, Emma ventured around town, reconnecting with familiar places and faces. She visited the library where she'd spent countless afternoons as a teenager, the park where summer festivals were held, and even the old bridge where she and her friends used to dare each other to jump into the creek below. Each encounter brought mixed reactions, some welcoming, others cautious. Slowly, she realized that while the town hadn't forgotten, it was willing to let her try again. Chapter 3. The Town Hall Meeting. The highlight of the week was the Town Hall Meeting, a monthly gathering where residents discussed local issues. Emma decided to attend, unsure of how she'd be received. As she entered the hall, heads turned and whispers began. She felt exposed, but then she spotted Jake, who gave her a reassuring nod. The meeting proceeded as usual, but when Betty stood up to suggest organizing a fundraiser for the town's struggling school, Emma seized the moment. "I'd like to help," she said, her voice steady despite her nerves. The room fell silent before Betty smiled and said, "That'd be wonderful, Emma." Planning the fundraiser became a turning point for Emma. Working alongside familiar faces, she found herself rebuilding trust and rekindling old friendships. Jake was a constant presence, his quiet support helping her navigate moments of doubt. As the event approached, Emma realized she wasn't just proving herself to the town, but also to herself. The fundraiser was a success, raising enough money to support the school's arts program. As the night ended, Emma stood on the steps of the town hall, looking out at the crowd. For the first time in years, she felt like she belonged. Chapter 4. Coming Full Circle. Emma stayed in town longer than planned, her initial visit transforming into a rediscovery of who she was and where she came from. She and Jake began to spend more time together, their connection deepening as they shared memories and dreams for the future. One evening, as they walked along the creek, Jake turned to her and said, "You know, it's not too late to start over." Emma smiled, realizing he was right. Her journey hadn't just been about returning to a place, but finding her way back to herself. And this time, she was ready to stay. Language focus. Key expressions from the story. Here are some key expressions and phrases used in the story. 1. Gripping the steering wheel. Used to describe someone holding on tightly, often due to stress or nervousness. 2. Reopening a wound. Refers to revisiting a painful memory or experience. 3. A mix of curiosity and guardedness. Describes someone feeling both interested and cautious. 4. Rekindling old friendships. Means rebuilding and strengthening past relationships. 5. Coming full circle. Refers to returning to the starting point after a journey of growth or discovery. Practice section. Practice using these expressions by creating your own sentences. For example, write about a time you felt nervous and gripped the steering wheel. Describe a situation where you rekindled an old friendship. Extended practice. Questions. 1. Why did Emma decide to return to her hometown, and how did she feel about it? 2. What challenges did Emma face while reconnecting with people in the town? 3. How does the expression "coming full circle" relate to Emma's journey? 4. Imagine you are Emma. How would you explain your reasons for leaving to someone you'd hurt? 5. How can small, supportive actions, like Jake's encouragement, make a big difference? In this episode, we explored a story of second chances and personal growth. By analyzing key expressions and practicing how to use them, you can expand your vocabulary and improve your fluency. Remember, every journey, just like Emma's, is an opportunity to learn and grow. Remember, every journey, just like Emma's, is an opportunity to learn and grow. See you in the next episode. Thanks for being part of this journey with Tales Untold. If today's story inspired you or helped you improve your English, let me know by clicking the like button. It's a small click, but it means the world. And if you want more amazing stories like this, subscribe to the channel and join our growing community of English learners. Turn on notifications so you're the first to know when a new tale is told. See you in the next episode, and remember, every story is a chance to grow.